Are you having a hard time paying your student loan bill each month? Well, you're not alone. Right now, millions of people with student loan debt are about to fall off what's called a default cliff. So here's what that means. As we speak, there are a lot of people with student loan debt who can't make their loan payments on top of the costs of groceries and healthcare and housing and everything else. Roughly 5 million borrowers are currently in default, and another 4 million people are severely late on their payments, just right on the edge of formal default. If those 4 million people slip even by the tiniest bit, they'll fall right off that cliff. What does it mean to go into default, and why are more people defaulting on their loans? Well, going into default means that you haven't paid your federal student loans for more than 270 days. And what's with all these late payments? Well, a recent survey of borrowers showed that more than 4 in 10 people with student loans are being faced with the choice of making their student loan payments or covering their basic needs. You know, things like paying their rent or putting food on the table. I want to be clear. This is a flashing red light that people in our economy are struggling a lot. If you've gone to the grocery store, you've looked at your electricity bill, you've seen that under Donald Trump, costs are just going up and up. And part of the fallout from those higher prices is that more people are now pushed into default on their student loans. Keep in mind who most of these people are. Some are people living right on the edge of the poverty line. Some are struggling to pay medical bills. Some are students who are scammed by predatory colleges. Nearly 40% of student loan borrowers have no college degree. But all of them are people whose only sin was to be born into a family that couldn't afford to write a check for them to go to college and to try to get an education anyway. And many of them are Americans who voted for Donald Trump in the hopes that he would make their lives more affordable. That's who we're talking about here. And if these people default on their loans, they will face financial ruin, because going into default can be devastating. It shows up on your credit score, making it more expensive, sometimes impossible, to buy a car or to get a mortgage. It means that the federal government can take money right out of your wages. That's right. Just a couple of weeks ago, the Trump administration announced that money you may be putting toward your rent or your groceries could be seized straight from your paycheck. So how are your elected officials helping out? Well, Donald Trump and his Secretary of Education are working to dismantle the Department of Education and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the places where people go to get help when they're in a position like this. You know, it really is just unbelievable. Trump and his people are also firing the federal workers who help borrowers with their repayment plans. They're making families' monthly payments more expensive by slashing programs that help people manage their student loan debt. And here's one more thing that they're doing that's just gone right under the radar. The Trump administration is undermining student loan cancellation for Americans who have qualified to get their student loans canceled. So let me explain that last one. Right now, lots of people are signed up for income-driven repayment programs. And under these programs, every month, people pay a percentage of their income toward their student loans. And after 20 or 25 years of monthly payments, the federal government basically says, you've done your job, we'll cancel the rest of your debt. That's a program set up by Congress, signed into law years and years ago. But this administration has not been giving people the student loan cancellation they are legally entitled to. Look, it's just as simple as that. The Trump administration is not canceling that debt, and they just got sued over it. And to make it all worse, the Trump administration is refusing to protect student loan borrowers from what's called a tax bomb. Now, here's what that one means. Starting this year, when Americans on income-driven repayment plans get their student debt canceled, the government is going to call that cancellation income. Don't get me wrong, getting your debt canceled can be life-changing, but it doesn't put extra money in your pocket. So if you got $50,000 of your loans canceled, The IRS is going to say that you made an extra $50,000 in income that year. And the result, you have to pay taxes on that so-called income. It is a massive tax bill. Think about that. You know, you're a middle-class person paying off your student loans every month for 20 years. You finally get to the last of the loan canceled, and bam, you're hit with an extra $10,000 you now owe in taxes, and you owe it immediately. For most families, that's a disaster. So whether you're fresh out of college paying off student loans or you've been paying on your loans for more than 20 years, Donald Trump is making your life more expensive. And that's not what government should be about. Government should work to make your life better, to make it easier, not harder, to get an education and to pay off student loans if you have to borrow the money to do it. Donald Trump and his administration are helping a lot of people. They've been giving get-out-of-jail-free cards and bailouts to drug traffickers, rioters who caused the death of police officers, and fraudsters who cheated people out of tens of millions of dollars. Shoot, Trump even dug up more than $20 billion to bail out Argentina. And next year, Trump's government will hand $67 billion in taxpayer money to corporations like Tesla and Apple to incentivize investments that these companies already made. That is 5 times what the government spends on child care every year, 5 times. And who knows how much the U.S. is going to spend starting a war with Venezuela. Meanwhile, good, decent people here in the United States are struggling with their bills, and Donald Trump just kicks dirt in their faces. Look, we shouldn't be bailing out drug traffickers and big corporations and Trump's best buddies. We should be giving working people a break. That's what this fight is all about.